welcome back to Morning Coffee, everybody. I'm Joe Osamendi, along with my associate Alcini here. But you know, Health is one of my favorite things, the expert series that I started.
I think it's great, and
Yeah.
I think the expertise that we're displaying today, I think, is really critical these days.
Exactly.
And you know, why don't you introduce our guests?
Exactly. Well, you know, this is the Workcred expert series actually, and Roy is executive director of Workcred, which is really a body that deals with credentialing and certification.
Wow.
And when Roy comes on, he always brings a gift with him of somebody that's going to give us enlightenment about certification,
Great.
the importance of it, et cetera. So, Roy, welcome again to Morning Coffee. And how would you like to introduce Rob for my audience?
Sure. I'll just talk a little bit about Workcred initially. Roy Swift, I'm the executive director of Workcred, and Workcred is designed to look at the quality, market value, and effectiveness of workforce credentials. These days, they think there is over or close to 1 million different type of credentials in this country.
Jesus.
And so you can imagine the confusion of the consumer, understanding what are the good ones, what are the bad ones, which one should I go for, which are the shorter, which are the least expensive, all these questions. And unfortunately, this information is not readily available to the consumer. People have to work for it. So we felt very strongly at Workcred that this series of experts that we're bringing in is a real important public service to people, because many times the professionals talk to one another, but they don't talk to the consumers and the stakeholders that really need this information, particularly now when people need good jobs in the quickest, most efficient manner. And what is that pathway? We are very pleased to have Rob Pedigo with us today. He has many years of experience in the certification world and credentialing. He's been involved in developing several major IT certifications that you would all be aware of and know about, and really is a person that is very interested in this issue of consumer education and what they need to know about it. So, Rob, we are extremely pleased to have your expertise today and your experience over the many, many years of what you think some of the issues are for the public and the things that they should be thinking about. So, Joe, I'll turn it back to you.
Again, Rob, welcome to Morning Coffee. Really appreciate it. Why don't you start out by kind of giving my audience your background and how you feel dealing with credentialing. Hello?
Forgive me. I had a brief sound glitch, but I'm fundamentally with you here.
Oh, okay.
So I have spent much of my career, as Roy alluded to, creating credentialing programs, first in the world of higher ed, in adult education specifically, from the platform of an accredited university. And then later is the creation of certification programs where one hones in tests for specific skill sets and abilities, and one earns a credential as a result of that enables one to do more and greater and better. It's the sort of thing that can create career mobility and allow individuals, as Roy pointed out, very efficiently, or more efficiently sometimes than the standard educational pathway, to engage in a better economic life for themselves, their families, and their communities. I have spent much of my life, most of my working life, working in certification. And as Roy also mentioned, it became clear to me that much of the certification community, as an industry, as a trade group, and so forth, tends to be a little bit inward looking, and they allow the outward looking to be handled by the individual credentialing organizations. But it became quite clear to me as a very empathetic human being that it is not always easy to earn the pre-qualifications necessary to engage in the traditional credentialing pathway. And it became further clear to me that there are barriers that exist that are a fundamental problem, particularly now. And what I mean by particularly now is we are facing what some, I know Klaus Schwab, who is the founder of the World Economic Forum, has advanced the idea, I think convincingly, that there is a fourth industrial revolution at play, where there is a fundamental paradigm shift in the economy. We are seeing entire categories of industry that are beginning to sunset or morph heavily. We are seeing economic disruption from a variety of fronts, whether it is environmental degradation that has occurred in various places, climate change. We are seeing geopolitical issues that are creating inflation and other issues. And all of these create a bit of a pressure cooker environment where we have rapid change. We have, as a result of all of this, more urgency than ever to find ways that allow individuals not just to enter the workforce, that's very important, but it's a main focus of workforce preparation, but also to help individuals reskill, because there is this whole issue of individuals who have been through their first or their second major career. They need to engage in additional shifts. And because there is so much change industrially, we need to make sure that there are ways of bringing people along with us. And if we don't, there are going to be major societal problems. Some would say that we're already seeing some of them. So my focus has been about looking at ways of advancing the cause of making it easier, not just easier, but easier to properly prepare people for a new change in their lives, in their work, and ultimately in industry around us.
That's,
I think Rob makes a big thing, because we know that the coined term lifelong learning, which people throw around a lot, but frankly, we haven't executed very well, either at the university level or, but we are seeing in the certification community where they're trying to develop levels of certification to get people into the industry so they would have a career pathway in this regard. PMI, Project Management Institute, has done that. Behavioral analysts and behavioral health is one of the major areas. But I think this point of reskilling is such an important concept, and we need people like Rob to try to spearhead more thinking about this.
That's important. Fellas, we're coming up on 5 minutes, so we need to wrap, but I want to make a point, and then I want to come back to you for your reaction. Richard Branson loves to post that if you get an opportunity and you're not sure you're qualified for that opportunity, take the opportunity anyway and then learn while you're on the job. And the first thing I thought when I read that post is, I hope you don't onboard your pilots that way. And, really, the truth is we live in a world where credentialing is very important, but we don't really have any validation on whether the credentials actually prepare people for the work that needs to be done. And in some missions, for some jobs, that's really critical, isn't it?
For quite a few, it's really critical. Even ones that are traditionally or have been cited as being relatively unimportant, like cosmetology. There's a reason why licensure was put into place in the first instance. And so ultimately, I agree with you that it is the responsibility of employers to ensure that when they hire someone, that they are adequately prepared to do the job, and or they can help prepare the person to get them to where they really ultimately need to be. I'll share very quickly that McKinsey recently released a statistic that approximately 50% of an individual's lifelong earnings were earned as a result or based upon information that they learn while on the job. And so this really speaks to the criticality of on-the-job learning and lifelong learning. And it's not just something that individuals need to do, but it's something that businesses need to do, but rather individuals also need to take responsibility for their own learning path along the way. None of us can afford to be passive these days.
It's important.
And that's an excellent point about certifications, because some certifications only require experience. You don't have to have a degree or a major formal certificate. If you have so many years of experience, then you can get that certification, which can be the third-party validator of your skills. So the public needs to know that there are many pathways to good jobs, even if they don't have degrees, but they can do it. And more of the companies are doing what they call skill-based hiring. They want to know about skills versus whether you have a BS, MS, or a PhD.
That's an important. I hate to wrap on that because this is a conversation that can go on for a long time.
Exactly.
But what great guest today, and what a great subject. And we are out of time for this morning's morning coffee. So thanks all of you for joining us, and thanks Roy and Rob for adding so much value to our program.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to add is the expert series is so important because it shows you the importance of credentialing, certifications, how certifications, some are good, some aren't good, whatever. And it actually takes people through the path
Really
of what
critical.
the certification program is all about. So again, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. And Roy, I'll see you next time for the expert series.
Yes.
Back with morning coffee again next week.
Thanks, Rob.
everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you, Jim.